Hey Bookish Dragons, it's Stephanie with Ravens and Blots, and today I'm going to be talking about my February wrap-up and also my March ambitious TBR. In February, I read a grand total of 8 books. One of them is not here because it's actually back at the library, and that was Book 5 of The Heroes of Olympians, The Blood of Olympians by Rick Riordan. So, let's talk about that one first. The Blood of Olympians, which is Book 5 of The Heroes of Olympus by Rick Riordan, I rated a 3.75. It was a good read, but it felt very disappointing for me, and it also felt very lackluster in the ending of a series. I think it was mainly because of the points of view that were used. Instead of getting all 7 of the demigods like we did in Book 3 and Book 4, we only got 4 of them, and we didn't really even get the right ones. We didn't get Percy, we didn't get Annabeth, we got Jason, we got Leo, we got Rhea, who was the proctor for the Roman camp, and then we got Nico. So we really didn't get any of the girls' point of view except Rhea, and I felt since Rhea and Nico were going on the exact same quest, we should have gotten somebody else, but that's just me. I also felt like the ending was a little bit of a letdown, kind of like Rick Riordan went into the basic only outing he could, and instead of surprising us like he did, it just really fell to the wayside. The next one I read was The Firefly Dance, which is a novella collection of 4 short stories by Sarah S. Snell and Catherine Magdalene, Augusta Trabell, and Phyllis Schreiber. This I rated a 2-star. It was a very disappointing read. There was no continuity in any of the stories. Normally when you have a novella of short stories by different authors, they give you a theme and that goes throughout the entire book. This one did not, and it was a very disappointing read. I was especially disappointed by the Sarah Addison Allen novella, which I was really looking forward to, but it just really wasn't worth it at all. The next one I read was These Vicious Masks by Taran Schranker and Kelly Zarkas. This one I gave a 3.5 stars to. I really enjoyed the story and the characters. However, the ending left a lot to be desired because it felt like it just ended. It didn't really answer any of the questions I had. Think Pride and Prejudice meets X-Men, but you don't really get a lot of the action until about halfway through the book. On a whole, I'd say it was a very entertaining book, but if it's not a duology, then the ending definitely was not the best. I'm hoping it will be a duology, but who knows with how writers are today. The next one I read was Percy Jackson's Greek Gods, which was by Rick Riordan, and this got a 3.5 stars from me, simply because it was Percy Jackson as the narrator, which is awesome because he gives a lot of snark, but it was kind of confusing reading about all those gods, and about halfway through the book I couldn't remember who I had heard about and who I hadn't because he mentioned so many of them in specific talking about them. So it was good. I mean, I got it because it's Rick Riordan, so you know. The next one I finished was Brooklyn by Colm Toyam. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Really liked this book. It got a 4-star out of me. It's really about the small moments of your life and about how those really do change the course of history. And I truly enjoyed this book. I read it simply because I wanted to be able to watch the movie, but I really did like the book just on its own. So that was good. Thank you. The next one I read was The Winter's Curse by Mary Rotowski. I asked a couple people in February what book I should buy, and this was one of the ones that had been on my radar because of the controversy of the covers that happened back in November. And everybody said it was really good, and I read it. I loved it. I just felt like some of it could have been explained a little bit better, but because it's a part of a series, I kind of understand that. So I do need to finish this because the 3rd one comes out this month, but finished this one. I really liked it. The next one I read was Steadfast Love by Lauren Chandler, and this is a nonfiction book about how to trust in the love of God, and it basically pulls a lot of it from Psalms 107 and from Lauren's personal life. Loved this book. It was a solid 5 stars for me, and it's pretty skinny. I mean, it was only, I think, like 200 pages. Now I've got to look. Yeah, it was like barely 200 pages, so I definitely whizzed through that one. And the last book that I read in February is Discerning the Voice of God by Priscilla Shirer. This is another nonfiction book that talks about putting away all the distractions and basically learning how to discern the voice of God. If you've never read Priscilla Shirer, I highly recommend her. She's very, very gifted in discerning the scriptures and telling you basically what you need to hear. So loved that one. That was another 5-star for me. Alright, so now I have my overly ambitious TBR for March. The reason it's overly ambitious is because the Slay That series readathon is going to be starting up in the 8th, and I'm going to be doing a separate video for that TBR. But that basically is started by Sarah without an H, and it is where you go and you slay series, and all the series that you haven't finished, you basically take that whole week and you read. So because of that, I have a whole bunch of series that I'm doing, but then I have a whole bunch of other books I want to read too. So let's go ahead and start. First is The Hobbit by J. Earl Tolkien. I am rereading this with a group of girls on Instagram and we're doing a read-along called Middle-earth March, hashtag. And so we are trying to read through The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy this whole month. So I am very happy because I got brand new Hobbit and Lord of the Ring covers, so I'm very excited for that, and I really wanted to reread this anyway, so that works out for me. Next one on my list is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I think this has been on my TBR for the past 3 months, but I'm slowly getting there. I'm now on page 430, so I have about 300 more pages to go. So hopefully I can get that one done this month. That would be fantastic. The next one that I am reading at the moment is A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. I take off the dust jacket when I read them so they don't get torn or burnt. And I'm about a third of the way through on this one. It's really good, but I've been setting it down and haven't been reading. So the next 4 that I want to read, or at least get started this month, is Into the Dim by Janet Taylor, and this is about a girl who her mom dies, and then all of a sudden she's taken captive and she realizes that her mom isn't dead. She's actually 1,000 years back in the past. Time travel, one of my weaknesses. So it sounded really interesting. I'll be honest, love the cover, so I was like, yeah, why not? The next one that's been blowing up on my newsfeed lately is The Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Hellig, and I really want to read this. Again, there's time travel and there's pirates, and yeah, I want to read this. It sounds really interesting. A girl is basically on a time traveling ship, and her father wants to get back to the one mistake that he feels he made, but in doing that mistake, it might cause her to be unborn. So it sounds really intriguing. The next one I want to read, continuing with the theme of pirates and time travel, is Black Hearts, and this is by Nicole Castroman. This is about Blackbeard before he was Blackbeard, and it sounds really interesting. It's one that's actually been on my radar for quite a while, so I want to just kind of dive into the story and get it done. Plus, I've kind of like flipped through, and it just sounds really, really good, so I'm hoping I can read that one. And then the next one is The Start of Me and You by Emery Lord. I really want to read this one. I picked it up last month on a whim, mainly because I want to read her new one that's coming out in April, and I want to see if I actually like her writing. So, and I follow her on Twitter. And basically she actually said on this one that she wrote it when she was in a very, very dark place, but she wrote it to find hope, and because of that, it's like one of her favorites of her own writing. So I'm excited for that. Plus, the cover is gorgeous. All right, so that is my ambitious, let me get them all up here for you to look at their beauties and their pretties. My very ambitious TBR for the month of February. No, for the month of March. sorry, for the month of March. So hopefully I can get through at least part of these books. I am still doing the Rock Your TBR challenge, which basically means that you are trying to read at least one book that has been on your TBR for longer than 6 months. So none of those have been, so hopefully, oh no, Name of the Wind has. So I'm trying to read that one this month, hopefully. So anyway, dragons, I hope you have an amazing night. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe right down there. Also, you can find me on all my social media sites. I'll have all those links down below. And keep reading, you awesome dragons, you.